Meet the sheriffs.
Let's go and introduce ourselves.
Got 9 car rate to attend here today.
If it's not paid, we're going to be removing the stock.
Their job is to get you your money back.
It's about to get physical.
It's an arrestable offence to stop me doing my job.
If you've been ripped off and don't know where to turn,
We need to deal with it now.
We're going to remove vehicles to that value.
If you're acting on his authority, pay it.
if you've been to court and still not been paid what you're owed,
Are you going to open this building cell, or am I going to force entry into it? You need to pay this.
it's time to call the sheriffs.
Don't put your hands on me. I'm going to call the locksmith, effect entry into the premises and remove all the items. Whoa.
They're enforcement agents of the High Court, and the law says they're on your side.
That's collected 42 grand.
Coming up, when this couple bought themselves a car, things didn't go to plan.
When we were driving faster, it just didn't seem to accelerate. At that point, I was pretty cross.
Craig and Tommy go in search of what they're owed.
Is that not you, Waterside Car Sale?
Of course I am.
So you are Waterside Car Sale?
What I'm saying is we took this name over.
You're digging yourself a bit of a hole now.
No. I'm not digging myself any hole.
Lawrence and Kev are in a chocolate shop, and they won't leave empty-handed.
You can have 15 minutes, but then we're going to clear the place out.
And the sheriffs take on Barclaycard for a large sum.
Is £35,000 plus.
The law's the law, and it applies to everybody.
Today, Sheriffs Tommy Coyle and Craig Wilde have a familiar problem to deal with.
Right, we're off to Birmingham today. Off to see a garage, Waterside Car Sales. The claimant in this particular case is a Katie Miller. She's owed a total of £2,916.
The sheriffs are looking to get Katie her money back after a car sale went wrong. Katie and Andrew Miller travelled 50 miles from their home to Birmingham to buy a car that Andrew needed to get to work.
So I work as an outdoor instructor. I love doing it. I get to work with young people every day. I get to take them on school trips, kayaking and climbing and caving and things like that. A car's essential because I've got to get there, but it also involves taking things like kayaks around on the roof and going all around the country.
Andrew needed to find a car, but there wasn't much money. The couple had recently married and were hoping to have something left in the bank after buying their wheels.
Our budget was £2,000. We picked a few cars. We had to look quite far afield because the criteria were quite tight. And we found a few in Birmingham, and Waterside was one of the places that we went to.
They came across a VW Golf they both liked. Mohammed Hack at Waterside Car Sales let them have the Golf for a price that was within their budget.
He let us take it for a test drive. It was Derby match day in Birmingham, so it was quite busy. So we went for a really short test drive. It wasn't quite running right. It was a bit judgery. Sort of obviously raised the concern, and he said, no problem. We'll sort it out. We'll get my garage to look at it. Waited for half an hour. They brought the car back. Switched it on. Drove it a little bit, absolutely fine, no problems at all. We believed that it was all sorted and it was just a simple problem.
The couple drove away from Waterside Car Sales happy. They didn't realise that they weren't going to stay that way for long.
The overall driving experience was quite good up until we turned the engine off and started it back up the next time. From there on, it went downhill. It was very juddery at a slow speed. And then when we were driving faster, it just didn't seem to accelerate.
Pull the lever.
At that point, I was pretty cross and wanted to go about getting the car back.
We've driven 50 miles again.
Naturally, they contacted Mohammed Hack at the garage and asked to bring the car back for a refund.
It's going slowly.
But the garage only wanted to try and fix it again.
He's already tried to fix it once and didn't. We just want to bring the car back to you.
That's the stage when he started saying you have no right to bring this car back. What do you expect when you buy a second-hand car?
It's not fit for purpose.
We knew that actually if you buy something faulty from someone, you have rights to take it back.
The couple wisely got in touch with Trading Standards to find out what they could do about their badly running car.
we had to have shown willingness for him to fix the car. So under the guidance of trading standards, we asked him to come and collect the car, which he was very reluctant to do initially. He tried to tell me that it was my responsibility to pay for transport of the car.
I believe that we have the right to...
I said that actually, legally, I shouldn't have to incur any costs from this faulty car that he'd sold us. We ended up finally getting him to agree to collect the car, and he had the car for, I think, a couple of months.
When the car was finally ready, the couple travelled over to Birmingham and collected it. After 2 months waiting, they hoped their troubles were over.
Got there, started it up, drove it home again, and exactly the same problem happened.
After 3 breakdowns, the couple got on the phone and demanded their money back. Waterside Car Sales weren't forthcoming.
He answered the phone and just made excuses, didn't want to talk to me, and just made excuses for leaving the phone conversation and left.
A local garage told them it would cost hundreds of pounds to investigate the problem, let alone fix it. The couple decided to go to court to get their money back. No one from Waterside Car Sales attended the hearing, so Katie and Andrew won a default judgment. But 2 months on, the couple haven't been paid.
The sheriffs are the last hope, they're the last option we have.
Over in Birmingham, Sheriffs Craig and Tommy are planning to get them the money a court says they're owed. They've found what appears to be Waterside Car Sales.
Hello, mate. You the boss?
The man on site isn't the owner, but he does get him on the phone for Craig.
What it's to do with, got a court order today for £2,910.71.
He doesn't seem to know about Katie's case.
She's taken the company to court for the money. And the company, Waterside Car Sale.
The man says his name is Mohammed Hack, but that he runs a different company, and Waterside Car Sales have moved out.
And when did they go?
Craig thinks he sees evidence to the contrary.
Well, obviously, it's all still signed up here, Waterside Car Sales.
Mr. Hack says he'll come down to the garage.
He said we'll wait inside and then...
The sheriffs look inside for evidence of Waterside Car Sales, and it doesn't take Craig long to find something.
If you carefully look at the very top, it's got Waterside Car Sales on the top there. So that's what we're looking at. Any more? For any more?
There's a small office in the garage, and Craig has a look around and finds further clues.
The trade plates in there are Waterside Car Sales. Even though it's all Waterside on the front, this Mr. Hack reckons he's a director of a limited company that's taken over this building about 2 months ago, he said. I don't believe him, to be fair. I think he's got something to do with their company.
Moments later, Mr. Hack arrives.
Hello, sir.
Perhaps he can explain which company this is.
Thank you. Yeah, what we're saying is the judgment is for £2,910.71. So, how do you want to pay it, or...?
Mr. Hack believes he has proof that a different company now operates here.
This is you here?
Yeah.
So do you know anything about Waterside at all?
Waterside used to be here. We're still using their sign, but we are them.
Right, okay.
But Mr. Hack isn't convincing Craig and Tommy.
Why are you still using their signage and their cards?
Because we can't afford to put any new sign in at the moment.
You're saying that you have nothing to do with Waterside whatsoever?
No.
Right.
This is us. You can see.
No, I appreciate that, yeah. When you arrived here
Yeah.
as M&J Midlands Limited,
Yeah.
the place was empty, Waterside had gone and everything else?
Everyone was gone.
Why are we still using their trade plates?
Sorry?
Why are we still using their trade plates?
We took it over. Till this expire,
Well, why didn't Waterside, when they left,
Yeah.
take these with them?
They left it there. What am I supposed to do?
Well, you shouldn't be using them, should you?
I shouldn't be using them now.
No. When I said to you, when you moved into here, and it was all empty, that wasn't true then, because they've obviously left these, haven't they?
The sheriffs decide to confront Mr. Hack with more of their findings. They hope he'll realise that he must pay the bill.
Did they leave any cars?
No.
They didn't leave any cars?
They don't leave any cars, do they? When we moved in here, there's no cars.
Right.
So far, it's not looking good for the sheriffs. Although Craig's found evidence he thinks disproves Mr. Hack's story about a new company. He's no closer to convincing him to pay up. Later on, the sheriffs make a discovery that changes everything.
There you go. Waterside Cars Limited.
Kev McNally and Lawrence Grix are out on patrol today, looking to recover a debt. Enforcement agent Kev has got his thinking cap on.
We are in Cambridge at the moment. We're going to Chocolate. I presume it's a chocolate shop. They are £1,793.
Kev suspects Lawrence would take payment in kind.
Maybe Lawrence likes a bit of chocolate. He's nodding his head there. Chocolate and gin and tonic, I think.
But the sheriffs won't be getting any chocolate until they find out where they're going.
I've no idea. I've gone the wrong way.
But every way they go is wrong.
Except authorised vehicles, raising bollards, CCTV in use. Well, nearly a mile from it, so I'm not walking for a mile.
The sheriffs have got a major battle on their hands this morning, getting through Cambridge's traffic control system.
I'm going back round this way again because I think it's somewhere. Oh no, buses only.
Where the hell are we? This place is a serious joke. Anyone watching, don't come to Cambridge. You just won't get anywhere.
You driver like me, I'd wake you up every. No, that's pedestrian zone. So we'll go back round here then.
Yeah.
Look, no entry.
This place is a joke. Still half a mile away.
Finally, a breakthrough.
Right. I am a legend. Keep going. No, seriously, we'll be there in a minute. Unless that's the river. We're definitely going to get there now because it's one way all the way to it. Literally the best co-pilot ever. Don't worry about me.
They've found the chocolate shop, but not the parking space they'll need for the van. They'll have to park somewhere if they want to collect this debt.
It's literally about an hour walk from here.
But it seems the distance is no object to a sheriff with a chocolate shop to find.
Lawrence just wants to get stuck into the chocolate. Look at him, he's rampaging his way towards there.
Just want to get there, only put an hour on the parking meter. It's a half-hour walk from the van, isn't it?
Got a vision just turn up at the shop and he's already eaten half the stock. He's just got the chocolate covering his face and wrappers everywhere.
Eventually, the sheriffs arrive at the chocolate shop. But Master of Directions Kev has missed the sweet spot.
Where's he going?
Oh, I told me it was there. That was a surprise. It's still here then.
Hello there. It's either you the owner at all. No, it's Mr. Ricks, my colleague and I are enforcement agents. We've got a High Court writ to execute against Chocolat. We're here today to take control of goods to the value of £1,793.50, which would basically mean everything in here.
The young store manager is worried. She clearly knew nothing about this.
Are you able to get the owner on the phone? Are you in contact? Is she?
Get him on the phone?
I can try.
Yeah, I think that's probably best.
The manager doesn't want her chocolate shop emptied of stock, and she's been dropped in at the deep end.
All right. All right. No worries.
The seriousness of the situation is starting to dawn on the staff, and they shut the shop. Eventually, they do make contact with the absent shop owner's daughter and put Lawrence on. She asks for more time to pay.
You can have 15 minutes, but then we're going to roll the truck to come and clear the place out. Because we've been here half an hour already. Okay. All right, bye-bye.
With nearly £2,000 to pay, the sheriffs would have to take a lot of chocolate. So Kev is looking for other options.
There's a few bits of furniture around here for a start. There's lots of ceramic gift stuff. Downstairs is the same. Lots of chocolate, computers down there, printers, a few appliances around, a couple of fridges, some sort of chocolate mixing equipment.
But the sheriffs would prefer money.
The elder daughter who I've just spoken to says she's the owner of the business, but she's got no access to any funds, which I find a bit hard to swallow, unlike chocolate. So we're just waiting now. I've given them 15 minutes to try and get in touch with her parents. If she's the owner, she should be able to deal with it, is my opinion.
It clearly wasn't the ideal day to look for payment. Despite the ongoing negotiations, Kev thinks Lawrence is holding back.
Don't really like chocolate, and it's way too sweet in here for me. A bit concerned. Got the devil in him over there, struggling to contain himself.
But before Lawrence can indulge himself, the owner phones through with good news.
It's been paid by card. Right, I'll get onto my office now and check, because if it's done by card, it's instantaneous, and I'll issue a receipt and leave it with one of the ladies here. All right, thanks. Bye.
But just to make sure no one fudged the payment, Lawrence is checking that the money has been received at the office.
All right, lovely. Yep, cheers. Bye. Yeah, it's there.
Can't ask more than that. Paid. On our way.
It's been a difficult morning for the young manager, but she wouldn't have a shop to manage if the sheriffs had to take control of the chocolate.
Thanks a lot. See you later, guys.
Cheers.
Successful job in the end. Went in there, no dramas. Once she established what it was, paid on a bank transfer. So, yeah, full payment. I mean, it wasn't a huge sum of money. I think it's a really busy shop there. You could tell by the amount of people when we got in there, and then the amount of people while they were shut while we were there. Just want to get the shop open and running again. But they paid full amount, £1,800 just about. On we go, they're open for trading again. All things good.
All they have to do now is find their way out of the Cambridge traffic system. The shop told us the sheriffs called when the owners were out of the country at a funeral. The owners believed the debt had already been paid and so applied to the court to reclaim any overpayment. Back in Birmingham, Craig and Tommy are at Waterside Car Sales on behalf of Katie and Andrew Miller. They found a man who says he has nothing to do with the debtor company.
When we moved in here, there's no cars.
Right.
But they don't believe him.
Just to put the final nail in the coffin, Mr. Hack, there's 3 cars, at least 3 cars, right, which still have the sale particulars in the windscreen for Waterside. So in your infinite wisdom, what you did, you found some trade plates, and you found some paperwork, which was Waterside, and you put that bit of paperwork in your cars to sell it under the terms of Waterside. Is that what you're saying to me? You're digging yourself a bit of a hole now.
No. I'm not digging myself any hole.
Do you want me to show you? Come on.
Of course, I'm not saying.
I'll show you. Your telephone number.
Of course, this is mine.
Is on Waterside.
This is what I'm using for the moment.
So why are you using this? You said Waterside had left 2 months ago. And why would this document be in a car for sale under the banner of Waterside now if they moved out 2 months ago?
Yeah, but
and why would we have the actual commercial trade place in Waterside name as well?
I just
Can you show me the purchase document for this vehicle then?
This vehicle?
Yes.
I'll show you.
Thank you.
The sheriffs have the power to search a debtor's premises for information concerning their writ.
Excuse me.
This is called diligent search, Mr. Hack.
Can you don't go through my personal stuff?
I'm going to have to go through it, sir, because I believe the company's still trading from here.
Delving through the files doesn't show Waterside Car Sales have gone.
There you go. Waterside Cars Limited. That's corporation tax. That's not you. So they've left those paperwork as well, have they? Is that not you, Waterside Car Sales?
Of course I am.
So you are Waterside Car Sales?
What I'm saying is we took this name over. It was there.
We're finding vehicles which are for sale with Waterside in the windscreen, which has the same telephone number as yours, printed, not handwritten,
The evidence suggests this is still Waterside Car Sales.
You shouldn't be using their
Shouldn't be
signage.
using
their
Waterside
cars. It
cars.
doesn't make any sense to do that.
What I'm suggesting is Waterside Car Sales is still operating from these premises. You're selling vehicles on behalf of Waterside.
I'm not selling cars.
They're there.
All the sheriffs think they need now is one killer piece of paperwork that links this man to this company.
Mohammed Hack.
Yes.
Mohammed Hack, Waterside Car Sales.
Oh, here we go.
But it clearly says Mohammed Hack, Waterside Cars. You have nothing to do with it.
I just told you, sir, this is what I'm using, Waterside
Mr. Hack,
Cars' name.
Mr. Hack, you shouldn't be using another company's
So
name, sir.
Of course I can use it.
Is that fraud then?
How could it be fraud?
There's no point us going around in circles. I want to start listing down the vehicles outside, and you can talk to him about payment, okay? But I'm going to start taking control of all your vehicles outside.
The sheriffs hope the man might come to his senses once he realises the sheriffs are going to take control of his stock. And Craig makes sure he knows what Tommy is doing.
And if you can't pay this bill, then we're going to take further steps to take them away today.
But you just
It's your choice, Mr. Hack. It's your choice.
There's enough evidence showing that basically our company's here, so we can, yeah.
Finally, Mr. Hack of Waterside Car Sales is beginning to talk about paying some money.
It's as
But
simple
I
as
don't
that.
have this kind of money to pay you straight away.
Then I can't help you out then, Mr. Hack. How you run your business is up to you.
But you have to give me some time.
No, we don't.
But how do you expect me to pay this kind of money?
Because
in
the
one
court,
go?
because the courts say you have to. If you want to pay it, you can do, or we can execute it here and now at further cost to yourself.
If they execute the writ, that will mean taking control of vehicles on the forecourt. Craig gives Mr. Hack a moment to think about paying up.
You've got a breakdown here, sir. Look. I mean, look, point it. You've got a card reader.
And he's told Tommy he'll pay up in full, via credit card. Katie and Andrew will get their money back from Waterside Car Sales after all.
That's the £1,000 off the account.
But even that won't be straightforward. It will be paid off by several different credit cards.
Okay, how much you want on that one, sir?
No, 1,700.
So £210 and 71 pence now.
Piece of friendly advice, I would disassociate yourself with anything to do with water. Side car sales in the future.
Okay, I'll leave it in
Leave
a
it with
sec. Thank you. Bye-bye now.
It took some detective work, but the sheriffs are happy.
Lured him into the trap of saying what he needs to say to hang himself, really. £2,940 he's actually paid over 3 card payments, and Tommy's just handed me the piece of the resistance. That's his card.
Yeah, apparently he's got nothing to do with that company, but they're all over his desk.
It's another challenging job over for Craig and Tommy. But more importantly, it means Katie and Andrew getting back the money they are owed.
The whole him denying who he was and the whole trying to get out of paying doesn't surprise us at all, does it?
Thank you so much to the sheriffs, Craig and Tommy. They've been fantastic.
It's it kind of is an end to this whole saga. We'll be able to put it behind us.
Mr. Hack told us that the company's registered address is elsewhere, not the garage where the sheriffs enforced. He said everyone had the legal right to a warranty, but that the clients had not written to him, and that he had offered them a refund or repair. He said he had not received the court paperwork and would look into legal action to get his money back. There have been sheriffs since Saxon times, and they only enforce High Court writs.
I've got an High Court writ. I'm executing it today.
Doesn't matter what the dispute is, you have to pay.
If you've been awarded money by a court but haven't been paid, the sheriffs can get you what you're owed.
And it hasn't been paid, so he's transferred it up to the High Court for enforcement purposes.
If the debtor won't pay, sheriffs have the power to remove goods and have them sold at auction to repay the debt.
Take the keys, look after them until we get payment.
We've got an awful lot of stuff to take out here to clear the debt.
A High Court writ costs £60. If the sheriffs are successful, there's nothing more for the clients to pay.
So 6,900 there.
Paid it straight away, so it's all good.
If they're unsuccessful, the only cost is a compliance fee of £75 plus VAT for each enforcement. Some jobs require the sheriffs to take on some of the country's biggest brands and household names, who've been ordered to pay up. And today, Tommy and Craig find themselves a few miles away from a giant of the financial world.
We're on the way to go and do a job on behalf of Mr. Noel Daniels. Noel's gone to court and sued Barclaycard, of all people. Paperwork's been sent to their registered office in London, which they've failed to respond by. We've also visited their mail centre in Leicester. They've failed to respond to any of their paperwork, so we're off to Northampton today, which is their main sort of head office, with a view to trying to collect the outstanding balance, which is £35,000 plus. So a large debt, large organisation, and hopefully we'll do our best and get the money for him.
The claim was for damages after Barclaycard made a payment protection insurance, or PPI, repayment to a customer of around £1,500. It's not every day that the sheriffs go up against £1 billion company, so they're expecting to encounter resistance.
We'll be dealing with initially sort of security on the gate, then we'll be dealing with the claims department, then we'll be dealing with the finance department. So there's a multitude of layers that we have to go through.
Just like any other defendant, that's what you've got to remember. We have the same powers. The law's the law, and it applies to everybody. So is this all Barclaycard?
Everything. It's all Barclaycard.
The site is so big, there's a queue to get in.
This, mate, this is the big corporate job, this is.
And the sheriff's first hurdle is going to be a security guard, checking who comes onto the site.
First obstacle is getting through security. Obviously they're going to stop us, they're going to want to know, I'll have to obviously explain who I am and why I'm here. Normally a big corporate company like this, I'll give them a bit of respect, as in I'll wait a small amount of time. It's a large sum of money, they should be getting someone down here rapid. We've got the law on our side.
Oh, here we go.
The sheriffs get ready to talk to security.
He's going to want to have a chat with us, isn't he? Shall I chat with him and crack on?
Just crack on.
The sheriffs decide to simply drive in.
Go on.
They do have a High Court writ after all.
There you go, son.
Simple, but the low-ceiling car park could be a problem.
You worried, Tommy?
I am at the roof, mate. Look at it.
You've got plenty of room. 2.2 metres.
Well, first hurdle done. Yeah, we're on site.
But they so nearly weren't.
The guy's gone now. Because the barrier's down now, look, Tom.
Come on, let's just keep going.
They're on a massive site. They need to find an entrance.
Well, we're here now, so it's just reception.
This isn't the main reception, I don't think. Is this the main reception? Oh yeah, it is.
It is?
Well, it's got a reception.
The sheriffs can force entry to commercial premises.
We can't get in it, can we?
Staff entrance. Where's the main entrance one?
No, it's that size. We need to go all around.
But there's probably an open door elsewhere. With over 3,000 people employed at this site, it's no wonder the building is so big that they can't find the entrance.
No, it's huge. Freezing, aren't it?
But finally, the sheriffs are in reception, and now have the task of finding the right person to speak to. What they don't want is to get fobbed off.
Can I speak to someone from the finance department? I'm enforcement agent.
Yeah, sure. Just bear with me a second.
Thank you very much.
It's the enforcement agent. Yeah, please. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Because I wouldn't know where to direct you.
That's fine.
It's a second, we'll get our security manager.
Thank you very much.
Tommy and Craig were hoping to go direct to the finance team, but now the security manager has come to see them.
Do you want to? We haven't been told about you filming.
And he wants our camera to leave the building.
Yeah, if you could. Yeah, thank you.
But Craig and Tommy are staying inside to negotiate. And soon enough, Craig has some news.
We've managed to get through the first sort of 2 or 3 tiers. We're now talking to their legal counsel. They've asked for further legal paperwork from our head office, but at the moment it's looking positive. It's just a waiting game to a certain degree. We've been an hour on site now, which we think is justifiable for them to have sufficient time to dig into this situation if they wanted to sort it out.
Craig heads back inside to rejoin the negotiation. 2 heads are better than 1 when you're trying to negotiate a £35,000 plus payment from the legal team of a giant of the financial industry. Outside the building, all seems calm. But inside, the sheriffs are locking horns with Barclaycard to get their client paid. Not surprisingly, the legal team at Barclaycard are not happy. After 2.5 hours inside the building, Craig has an update.
The legal counsel from Barclaycard have come back to us. They're saying that they don't acknowledge the actual claim, they don't acknowledge the actual defendant. However, given the situation that they're faced with at the moment, they'll be making full and final payment today. They are going to go back to court. That's their legal right to do so. But obviously from today, the payment will be made in the form of a bank transfer in full and final settlement.
Craig heads back in to collect the balance as a happy man. But hours later, he still isn't finished. Once back inside, the battle to get paid was far from over. The sheriffs allowed Barclaycard what they felt was a reasonable time to pay, but no transfer was made. In accordance with their writ, they informed the Barclaycard team that they intended to take control of company items to clear the debt, at which point the team offered to pay the debt on their credit cards.
Off the premises, and
It's been a remarkable end to the enforcement.
A bit of a battle, that one. It was a 5-hour period to get it paid. And me and Craig got to a point where we wasn't happy with the evidence they were producing, referenced this transfer. So our pressure point was that we were going to wander around, take control of goods, which we're there to do and legally can. And that prompted the credit card payments.
They've got all their hierarchy from the building lined up outside the office, and one by one they came in and they were paying 9,000, 7,000, 6,000, 4,000, and eventually over a number of credit cards they managed to pay the whole lot off.
Obviously we're there to get full payment, and as long as it takes we'll stay there, whether it's all day we'll still be there. Got the result we wanted in the end.
Following the sheriff's enforcement, Barclaycard told us, due to an internal administration error, the relevant court papers did not reach their legal team, and they had no opportunity to respond in court. They say they have already issued a cheque to Mr. Daniels for the full PPI redress amount, and don't feel that the unspecified damages of £30,000 are justified, so have applied to the court to contest them. They say they are determined to resolve the case as soon as possible. In the Midlands today, Craig and Tommy have got a job to do, and they're confident they're going to get a result.
We're off to Halezone this afternoon, off to see a company called John Harris & Co. Claims in this particular case is Anthony Smith. The debt value is about £1,800. Could be a landlord, could be a tenant. We're not really interested, to be fair. We're only there under the terms of the court order to get it paid.
But one person who cares very much about how the sheriffs get on today is former landlord Anthony Smith. Anthony is an engineer from Halezone in the West Midlands. Several years ago, his parents passed away, but left him and his brother a wonderful gift, the family home. It meant a lot to Anthony.
The house was in the family for 30 years, and there was too many memories in the house just to sell it. And we decided to rent it out for the time being until we were committed to selling it.
Luckily, Anthony knew a lettings agent that he trusted. An old associate from a pub he used to drink at was now running an agency in the area, and Anthony immediately thought of giving him the property to rent out.
Mr. Harris was contracted to rent out the house, and for 10% of the monthly rent was his fee. And included in that fee, he would find us a new tenant, take an inventory, also carry out inspections of the property to see that it was being looked after properly.
Anthony's work required him to be based in China. As a successful engineer, he was extremely busy and wasn't able to keep an eye on how the tenancy of his parents' house was going. For 3 years, he thought all was well, until he was contacted by his partner in the UK.
I'd got a Skype call from Sheila and my brother, and they sent out photographs of the state of the property had been left in.
The tenant John Harris had put into the house had moved out after 3 years in the property, but they'd not left the place in anything like the state they had found it.
Well, the dog completely destroyed the leather suite. There was an expensive leather suite in there, which was my mother's, and it was just thrown in the garage, and it was just in pieces. They'd broken every single window in the house, and the window that locks off, and super glued the windows shut. I mean, the bathroom, the windows, the carpets, everything was just, it had to be thrown. We had to hire 2 skips just to remove the rubbish they left behind for us. I can't believe how a house can be abused so much in 3 years. These people had no respect at all for a nice surrounding. You would never treat your own property like that.
Anthony was upset because he felt that letting agent John Harris should have been aware that the property was getting into a bad state. He was taking 10% of the rent each month after all, but there was worse to come. Tony returned to England from China and took a close look at his bank balance. It seemed there were rental payments missing.
He'd missed a month, and then he'd put the next month at the end of the month, and then it looked like that month had gone in, and then he'd miss a month again. But then, because I was out in China so much, I wasn't keeping an eye on it, and eventually when the tenants had moved out and we checked the bank account, there was 3.5 payments missing.
Anthony says he checked and rechecked his bank account, but the money simply wasn't there.
I went down to see Mr. Harris, arranged a meeting, and I went through the amount of months that the tenants had been in, payments into the bank account, and I said to him, it's not rocket science, 1 and 1 makes 2, it's simple as that. But he refused then to talk anymore, and we had no alternative but to go to court.
Anthony brought his case about the missing rent to court. John Harris defended himself, but the judgment was in Anthony's favour.
The magistrate asked us if we wanted to claim for the property and the damages, and I said no, it's just I just want the rent. They moved in the middle of the month, so technically they owe a full month, but we're letting them off for half a month. At that point, Mr. Harris said to the magistrate I was being greedy, which was quite laughable.
Anthony feels like he hasn't had the last laugh. Letting agent John Harris still hasn't paid up what the court said he owed, so Anthony has called in the sheriffs.
After 14 months, I was just totally frustrated, and what do I do? How do I get my money? I liked what I'd seen on with the sheriff, so I got in touch, and if these guys can't get my money, then nobody's going to get it.
Emotionally, Anthony feels he wants to do what his mum and dad would have thought was the right thing.
If she's sitting up there looking down, she wouldn't be very happy, but unfortunately, I put the business Mr. Harris's way, and he let me down terribly.
Two people who are hoping not to let him down are sheriffs Tommy and Craig. And in Hales Owen, the sheriffs have found the John Harris office and are looking to get Anthony his money back.
Hello, my name's Mr. Wild. I'm the High Court Enforcement Agent. Can you get the boss on the phone for me?
Is he driving? Is he back to himself?
If you can get him on the phone, I can pre-warn him, to be fair.
Nowadays, sheriffs send debtors a letter to inform them they need to pay what they owe. So Craig and Tommy's visit should be no surprise to John Harris.
Hello, sir. I'm a High Court enforcement agent, and I've got a High Court writ of control to execute today, and the value of the liability is £1,862 and a penny.
But there's a problem. John Harris is saying that he shouldn't have to pay, at least not yet.
I've got the court order here, sir, compelling you to discharge the liability. If you want to come down and have a look at it, that's fine. But failure to obviously pay this liability means that we have to execute it. Taking control of the goods here today.
That should focus his mind.
How long will you be, sir? No problem at all. Bye. His argument is that the courts, he wasn't notified of the court process, even though there's been 3 or 4 opportunities to discharge it. From what he was saying, he was going to apply to leave of the court to challenge it, and he was still waiting for the court to come back to him.
And while Craig lets the owner know exactly how the land lies, Tommy is looking out for assets.
Just to save time, I'm starting to take control of the goods and see what he's got to say when he gets here.
While the business might not have huge assets, Tommy knows they will be reliant on what they do have.
But, it's not a huge debt, so they're not going to want to lose their computers and stuff. I'm sure he'll be able to discharge it in full.
Tommy and Craig are about to find out, as owner John Harris is here.
Here we go. I think he's here. You alright?
Yeah.
He wants to check they've done things by the book.
This thing that was delivered to me, who signed for it?
No, it's delivered by post.
The sheriff's records show the paperwork was sent, and at this point, John Harris asks our camera to leave. Inside, he's on the phone to his solicitor. The sheriffs will now have to talk to them about paying the debt. After half an hour, they're out with some news.
The solicitor was quite anti at first, as all solicitors tend to be. Was questioning our enforcement processes. I explained to him it fully complied with. He then instructed his client to pay it.
It's a payment in full.
That's good news for homeowner Anthony. But business owner Mr. Harris is not happy. The sheriffs may have got money from him today, but he plans to do something about it.
I asked for leave to appeal, and next thing I know, these gentlemen have come into my offices. I phoned up my solicitor on legal advice. I've paid them, but we now have 14 days to dispute the facts.
The payment was not disputed, however, and Anthony got his money and finally some closure.
I do have to thank Craig and Tommy. They've done a fabulous job. It was a quick result, and I'm very happy, and my family are happy.
High Court order.
They work for the High Court, and if it says you're owed money, it's their job to go and get it.
I'm here for £6,072.18.
They can demand payment on the spot.
I'm here for the full balance.
How are you going to pay it?
Or remove assets instead.
The car will be going unless you can pay it.
You'll have a week to pay in full before it gets sold at auction.
Obstructing their work can be a criminal offence.
I wouldn't do that if I were you. The door needs to stay open.
Every year in England and Wales, unpaid debts totalling more than £80 million are recovered by the sheriffs. Coming up, Valerie Hull spent £10,000 on a boat, only to discover it was a wreck.
The engine was rusty and in pieces, basically.
But the man who sold it is in no hurry to refund her cash.
Can't I pay £1,000 now and then pay the rest shortly?
We have to collect that today.
At a demolition company, Lawrence eyes up some seriously heavy goods.
We've been sent to this address today, sir, to take control of goods, which at the moment is the excavators and the crusher.
Ken meets a debtor with an identity crisis.
This guy in a roundabout way is trying to palm me off.
And Chris tells a watch seller it's time to pay his debt.
Tell them we're here with a High Court writ, and it's for us to take everything out of the property.
Enforcement agents Craig Wilde and Tommy Coyle are in the van and on the motorway before the sun's up. They've got a High Court writ for more than £12,000 against a member of the public, and they're on their way to his home address.
It's early in the morning. It's just gone to 7 o'clock. We're off to a little village which is just south of Birmingham. Going to go and see Mr. Jason Holdsworth. It's in relation to a boat that Mr. Holdsworth sold on eBay, which wasn't apparently fit for purpose.
Mr. Holdsworth sold the boat to Valerie Hull. She and her partner had their hearts set on owning a boat, and after months of deliberation, had decided to take the plunge.
We'd retired. It seemed a good idea to be able to go to Shutesbury Marina and have some leisure time on this boat. I'm not saying we'll ever go out to sea on it, but it just was a nice way of relaxing and enjoying our retirement.
When they found what they thought was a good deal online for a Crown Line 250 CR, they leapt at the opportunity.
The pictures of it were beautiful. It was in excellent condition. Couldn't see any fault with it. And at £10,000, it seemed like a really good buy.
The seller was Jason Holdsworth, and he invited them to his house to talk it over.
He was a very amenable chap. He was lively, polite, welcomed us into his home. We sat down, chatted about the boat and what good condition it is.
But there was one problem. Mr. Holdsworth said he needed a quick sale.
He said that where it was moored, which was Cardiff Yacht Club, they was having to pay £150 a week for it to stay there.
It was too far away to go and see it at short notice. So, fearful of losing out, Valerie and her partner agreed to a blind purchase.
And the arrangement was the next day, just after 9 o'clock, I would put the money into his bank account by bank transfer, and he would pay for having it delivered from Cardiff to Tewkesbury.
But no sooner had Valerie stumped up the cash, Mr. Holdsworth called to change the arrangement.
An hour later, got a phone call from Mr. Holdsworth saying we couldn't have the boat Thursday now, it would be the following week. And we were a little bit perplexed because we thought in that time limit we could have actually gone to Cardiff and looked at it. But we didn't see the point. I'd already put the money in his bank account, so we just left it.
The boat was delivered the following week, but Valerie was in for a shock. First, there was the delivery.
The company that had towed it there asked for the fee for taking it, and we said well, that was a part of the deal, it was a free tow, and he went no, he hasn't paid us.
And then there was the boat itself.
It's damp, it's musty, inside the fridge it was rusty, all the wiring was hanging inside the boat, so none of the wiring was connected at all. The front leather seats, which on the pictures were beautiful white seats, were actually dark grey and torn, and the engine in the engine bay was rusty and in pieces basically. It was just horrible. There was every indication that it had gone underwater at some point in its life. I just said, this is just not right.
It didn't even have a propeller, and it couldn't be put in the water. As the couple were inexperienced, they sought a second opinion.
An engineer came and did a report for us, and he said, this engine is rusty, it's not going to turn, it's never going to be any good. And quite frankly, my advice is to try and get your money back, because it's not going to do anything, this boat at all.
The couple began trying to get their money back from Mr. Holdsworth. They had hoped he would be responsive, but it wasn't to be.
We did try various things. We went through all the right sequences, but even when we rang him on his mobile, he ignored us. He just cut us off. I don't even know whether he thinks in his own mind he did anything wrong.
Court was the only option, and the couple won their case when Jason didn't attend. But he still hasn't paid them back, and in the meantime, they're forking out more than £300 a month in mooring fees when they don't even have a usable boat.
It's heartbreaking, really. We are pensioners. we are retired. It's an awful lot of money, perhaps not to a lot of people, I don't know. But to us, it's an incredible amount of money to lose. All we can do now is leave it with the sheriffs and keep our fingers crossed and hope that they will be able to do something for us.
Tommy and Craig are on the outskirts of Birmingham. More than 60 miles from the nearest coastline, it's an unlikely location to find a boat dealer. Nevertheless, it appears to be where Mr. Holdsworth lives. They think they're on the right road, but there's no sign of any boats conveniently sitting on a driveway. Also, all the houses here just seem to have numbers, when they've only been given a name.
Can't see it, mate. I think it's back there.
But Craig thinks he's worked it out.
Just one here.
So they pull up and try their luck.
Hello, sir. Sorry to disturb you. Trying to find a property called The Stables. Any idea?
But the man says this isn't it, and he's not Jason.
You're not him, no? And this isn't The Stables? Right.
But something tells Craig that the man knows more than he's letting on.
Because on the back of your jacket, it's got Holdsworth.
Yeah. And that's not all.
So is Jason your son, is he, or something at all? And this is The Stables, yeah? Down the bottom there on the brick.
Yeah, that's from his house.
Craig's right on the money. The man shows him ID.
Fantastic.
And he is indeed Jason's father. He says Jason doesn't live here, and he'll try to get him on the phone.
A bit early for him, I suppose, isn't it? What do you do yourself? Construction.
Yeah, new homes.
Oh, right, yeah. New builds.
Craig's not getting far with his small talk, and Mr. Holdsworth Sr. heads off for a meeting, leaving the sheriffs alone on the driveway. Just as they wonder what to do next, Jason appears on foot.
You're right. Hello, mate. Jason, is it?
Yes.
My name's Mr. Wild.
How are you?
Not too bad. It's to do with a High Court writ.
Yeah.
The court order. For Valerie Hull.
Okay.
She's obviously took a court order against you.
Yeah.
For some boat or something.
Yes.
You sold on.
Yeah, the Four Winds boat, Four Winds power boat.
Jason clearly knows all about the case and invites the sheriffs in to explain.
I replied to the court order, got my solicitor to reply to the order, and that's all I've heard.
Jason claims he thought the legal process wasn't over, but it is, and the sheriffs are here to collect.
Balance stands at the moment is just over £12,000.
What's it going to buy £2,000?
At the moment, you've incurred £1,200 enforcement fees, £535 judgment costs, and £129 interest.
It's more bad news for Jason. Sheriffs don't work for free, and by not paying the court order when it was due, the bill's gone up.
Are you in a position to pay that?
No. Well, what happens with the boat that she's got of mine? It's worth £12,000–15,000.
The order that I've got at the moment is just to recover the money from you.
When he didn't defend the case in court, Ms. Hull was granted a default judgment, and Jason lost his chance to ask for the return of the boat to be included on the order.
If they want the boat back to me, that's fine. So I'll sell the boat quite easily
for more than that.
More than
£12,000. Yeah. Unfortunately, on the court order commands us to come along today and demand the payment from you.
Yeah.
Ms. Hull doesn't want the boat, and Mr. Holdsworth's welcome to it back, but he'll have to organise that himself. Craig doesn't do boat delivery. He's just here for the money owed.
All right. Well, can I pay that this weekend?
We have to collect that today. We can do it.
Time? I can, yeah. I'm just waiting for some money to come through from another boat today, which is 12.5.
Right.
But he hasn't paid it this morning.
Right. Okay.
And I can pay it, but like I said, I even checked this morning. It hasn't come through yet.
Right.
So as soon as that's in, I'll pay the balance. That's fine. Can't I pay £1,000 now and then pay the rest shortly?
Craig's not keen on vague promises of future payment, so Jason's dad steps in, offering to pay on his cards and from his savings account. But he'll have to make a trip to the bank when it opens in an hour or so's time. Craig doesn't want to wait around, but he's also not willing to leave without a guarantee of getting Valerie's money, so he comes up with a plan.
The stables is where you live,
Where I live,
which
yeah.
is further just down the lane, is it?
Yeah.
Have you got a vehicle?
Yeah, I've got some cars there.
If I can list something down now,
Yeah.
you sign the form. It acts as security until 9 o'clock.
Provided Jason's vehicles are worth enough, then a control of goods agreement could be the answer. It would effectively give the sheriffs ownership of the cars until the debt is paid off. Jason's house is close by, and on arrival, the sheriffs see just what they want on the driveway.
There's his Jag there.
God, mate, he's got a noisy motor in there.
Range Rover. And the pickup behind.
That'd do.
Only one of the cars is on finance, and the other two will do nicely. So Craig gets straight down to business.
The two vehicles don't do security. If I can get you to sign and print your name there for me.
Sure.
The deal is done, but Jason isn't particularly happy about it. He still says there was nothing wrong with the boat he sold Ms. Hull.
What I think happened is they found out it's going to be £5,000 a year to keep the boat in the water, and they didn't want the boat anymore. So they basically, I said, look, if you want to bring the boat back to the yard, get it delivered back to the yard on a trailer, then we can have a look at obviously refunding your money. Didn't hear anything back from them for a few months, and then got the court letter saying that I owed £10,500. I rang my solicitor. She dealt with it all. They've sent me a letter back to the stables, which I haven't received. Okay, lovely.
I'll leave with you.
Right.
Cheers, Jack.
Cheers, guys.
Take care.
See your time, mate.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Cheers, bye-bye.
Nevertheless, the court made its decision, and Jason must now pay his debt in full. The sheriffs are confident he will.
I think they've got the money all day long. They're going to pay 10 o'clock in full.
Clearly he signed control of the goods of his vehicles over to the custody of the courts, so if they don't pay, we'll be back this afternoon to remove them.
Mr. Holdsworth did indeed settle his bill later in the day, and Valerie has finally got her money back.
Absolutely brilliant. We can now carry on with our retirement. Hopefully look forward to getting back on the water with another boat, new boat. We're just so happy that we've got the money back.
And she has some words of advice for any other prospective boat buyers.
Don't do what we did. Always go and view something like this before you purchase it. That's a definite. But if you do get in the same position, don't give up.
Using the county courts to try to recover money you're owed isn't difficult. 1.5 million money claims are made every year in England and Wales, involving anything from faulty goods or poor workmanship to unpaid invoices. Claims can be filed by post or online for a small fee. Both parties in the case will be asked to submit evidence, and you may have to attend a court hearing. If you're successful, a county court judgment or CCJ will be issued against the debtor. And if they still don't pay, that's when you call the sheriffs. Enforcing a writ often requires the sheriffs to draw on all of their powers of persuasion and negotiation. These tactics work best when the debtor's willing to engage in a meaningful dialogue. But occasionally, debtors simply don't want to play ball. In the southeast today, Sheriffs Lawrence Grix and Kev McNally are about to demonstrate that persistence is another useful skill to have.
This morning we are on our way to Pycombe in West Sussex, just outside Brighton. We're going to see Wealden Haulage and Demolition Limited, and this debt is relating to tipper hire charges, crushed concrete haulage and muck away.
In other words, waste disposal services, supplied by another company who haven't been paid. Wealden Haulage and Demolition Limited were taken to court and didn't offer a defence, so judgment was entered by default. 3 months later, and they still haven't paid, but the sheriffs are hoping to finally make sure they do.
They owe a total of £16,335. They actually operate off a farm, so we're going to go there.
As they turn into the address, they immediately set eyes on a haulage truck.
This is the right place, isn't it?
They head past a farm shop and up the track towards a house.
Hello, you two. Hello. Morning, sir.
Hello.
Looking for Wealden Haulage and Demolition Limited.
That's me.
That's you.
It's Marcus Sage, the company director.
We have a High Court writ to execute against Wealden Haulage and Demolition. The amount outstanding today is £16,335.99.
Right.
We're ordered out to take control of goods to that value to clear the debt.
Right.
And the only way to prevent further action is to pay in full.
Yeah, but I've applied to the court to have that set aside and I'm waiting to hear back. So.
Right, an application doesn't stop enforcement, sir.
I'm told it does.
But by a solicitor?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. Is this your private residence or is the business actually run from here?
The business is run from down there. This is my private residence.
Right. I'm assuming you don't want goods removed?
No, I don't know what goods you are going to remove because there isn't anything here that isn't on HP.
But before Lawrence can probe the details, Mr. Sage simply walks off. It's a bizarre turn of events, but Lawrence isn't fazed.
I'm just going to make a note of some registrations and then we'll go down to where the business is run from, because we're more likely to find some assets down there, I would think.
The sheriffs get in the van and drive back to the farm shop where it looked like Mr. Sage was headed. As they approach, Kev thinks he spots movement inside.
It's in there.
In the shop?
Yeah.
Is that where he is?
Yeah.
But any hopes that they may have found Mr. Sage soon evaporate.
Shut.
The farm shop is locked, and there's no sign of anyone inside.
There was someone in there, 100%, and there's no one else around, is there?
No, there might be an office at the back or something.
Lawrence has a nose around, but there's no other way in, and still no sign of Mr. Sage. Their best option now to get the debt paid is to identify some company assets, which on paper should be straightforward.
They've got fixed assets of 674 grand. Well, they did have in November 15. So they've got a hell of a lot of assets.
The problem is, not many of them seem to be here.
We've got 4x4s and things outside the house, which he's turned around and said are all on finance, but whether they belong to the company or not.
There's also this tipper.
That truck's what we'd need, really.
But it's massive.
We can't run and clamp it, can we?
No. Definitely.
I don't think there is a clamp on the market that will get on the wheel of one of those, because that would have to go on an articulated low loader, or possibly be dragged. But if you're going to drag it, you've got to take all the drive shafts out. It's a pig of a job.
It's too much for now, especially because if the debtor's appeal is successful, then the sheriffs wouldn't be able to recover the costs. So, with no assets and Mr. Sage unwilling to cooperate, this time the sheriffs will have to call it quits. For now.
But we'll check out all the vehicle registrations, and if any of them do come back to the company and they're clear of finance, we can come back and take them. So, at the moment, I'm just going to leave paperwork, and that's that.
Later, the saga continues when the sheriffs pay Wealden Haulage and Demolition another visit. Enforcement agent Ken Warby's no mug, and today his nose to sniff out a tall story is going to come in handy. He's on his way to Aylesbury in Buckinghamshire in search of a local businessman.
We are going to visit someone called Mr. Rostami, trading as LJ's nightclub.
Mr. Ebby Rostami's been sued by a woman who was injured after slipping in his club. A court's ordered him to pay, but he hasn't. So it's Ken's job to collect £5,213, including costs and fees. It turns out Ken's no stranger to the nightclub scene himself.
Give me half a shandy and I can put a few shapes on the dance floor, absolutely.
But sadly, we won't get to see that today, as it seems the nightclub has shut down.
We was there a couple of weeks ago and that's empty. So we're turning our attentions now to this new address.
Sheriffs are permitted to visit any address where they believe the debtor may have assets, and they've been told Mr. Rostami also runs a cafe. This second business could be the key to Ken getting his claimant's money. He reaches Aylesbury, parks up, and heads into town on foot, passing the nightclub on the way.
Just checking to see that no one's moved back in there, but it's as it was a couple of weeks ago. Off to the cafe and hopefully our guy's there.
The cafe's just down the road, and Ken heads in.
Hello. I wanted to speak to Mr. Rostami.
He's out at the moment.
Is he owner, yeah?
Yeah.
I need to speak to him urgently. Can someone get hold of him?
Yeah, bear with me.
Thank you.
The barwoman heads off to see if she can track down Mr. Rostami, and shortly afterwards, a man appears from the back.
Hello. It's Mr. Rostami I want to speak to.
He's up here. What is it regarding?
Sorry, are you a manager here?
Yeah.
In fact, although Ken has no way of knowing it, this is Mr. Rostami, and he's being somewhat economical with the truth.
Yeah, Rostami isn't here.
He's not here?
No, he's got somewhere else.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you need to get him on the phone because I need to speak to him urgently. Thank you.
I'll just get the manager there.
Cheers. Mr. Rostami walks off, and although he doesn't know the full story, Ken smells a rat.
Well, this is interesting. I think this guy in a roundabout way is trying to palm me off to someone else. But first impressions, yeah, plenty of assets in here. So we'll wait and see.
One asset that particularly catches Ken's eye is a grand piano in the corner.
I've taken a few away in my time. They can fetch good money, but they've got to be a good make. Get the odd Steinway, they're worth quite a few grand. I'm not sure what make that is. First impressions, it's not a Steinway.
It's 10 minutes since Mr. Rostami disappeared, before a new member of staff comes to speak to Ken. And now it seems the story has changed.
Mr. Rostami was the owner of Algiers, but he shut down and finished the building. So I don't know what you want to do, really.
Right, we were informed that the guy owned this as well.
The owner of this is Michel.
Right, okay. Did he used to own this then?
I don't know, I'm afraid I've been working here not long.
Right. I need to speak to the owner because I've got a High Court writ of control, which gives me authority to remove goods from here in lieu of an outstanding amount that he owes.
Okay.
So you need to make some phone calls and get him or her down here straight away.
So while one staff member thinks Mr. Rostami owns the cafe, another seems to know nothing about it. Ken's not sure what exactly is going on, but he knows better than to take the barman's word for it.
He doesn't own this, Michelle owns this. Well, I'm not going to go away on that basis. I need to speak to the supposed owner or new owner of this place, and I need some proof that she is the owner here. Bills, business rates, etc. before I walk out the door without any money.
Soon enough, a woman turns up who appears to be a manager.
Can I help you?
Hello. Are you Michelle?
I am. But I better not be filming. Get it outfitted now.
Our cameraman obliges and steps out onto the street. Ken follows shortly afterwards, and it seems Michelle has told him the same thing as the barman.
She just confirms that he shut the nightclub down, this guy, and he has nothing to do with this place. I said, I need to see some proof that you are the sole owner of this place. She said, well, it's going through. And then I said, is your name on the business rates? She said, no, it's still his name. I said, you need to find this money and find it all, because I will be removing your goods. So we're going to wait and see. She's got to make a few phone calls. I'm just going to get back in there and tough this one out, I think.
If Mr. Rostami has indeed sold the business to this Michelle, it must have been fairly recently. There's even still a job advert in the window with his name and mobile number on it, not to mention his earlier appearance behind the bar. Ken's not going to walk away from this one in a hurry. And soon enough, there's an offer of payment.
She said that she can't come up with the full amount of money, but she can come up with £2,000. And she's offered to clear the debt in 3 weeks. So rather than shut the business down, which is in effect what it will do if we remove everything from there, I'm going to get on and do that now, and hopefully that'll be good enough for the client. The news is she is actually Mr. Rostami's ex-wife, so that's the connection. So dig a little bit deeper and we always get the truth in the end.
Ken heads back in, where he persuades Michelle to part with a further £213 up front, leaving a neat £3,000 to pay over 3 weeks. Ken's confident she'll make good on her promise.
I'm pretty sure they're going to have the funds. It's quite a good result, really, because originally I was given the story that the guy had nothing to do with that place anymore, but that isn't quite the case. So, good result for the client. On to the next job.
Following filming, the debt owed by Mr. Rustami was paid in full. The young woman who was injured in LJ's nightclub has now got the money awarded to her by the court. When debtors can't pay on the spot,
I'm assuming that you haven't got £5,000.
Oh dear.
The sheriffs won't always remove assets to get your money. Goods go for about a fifth of their true value at auction, and it's often better to agree to a payment plan.
If you can come up with half of it today.
Do you reckon you can do 200 a week?
They'll make a list of assets.
Ice machine, bar chiller cabinets,
television, PlayStation.
And a controlled goods agreement is signed, making it an offence for anyone else to remove them.
You sign the form. It acts as security.
The sheriffs will only return to take the goods if the debtor fails to make payments.
I've signed him up to £1,000 a month. Providing you stick to that, you won't hear from us again.
Most of the sheriff's cases involve enforcing judgments made in the county courts as a result of money claims. But a small minority of their cases stem from employment tribunals, which are similar to courts and where workers can turn if they believe they've been treated unfairly by an employer. About 80,000 claims are made every year, and if they're successful, typically the tribunal will award a financial settlement. It's one of these cases which this morning takes Tommy and Craig into the centre of Birmingham.
Off down to Green Street in B12, going to see a company called AJS Midlands Limited. The liability itself is just over £9,000, so it's not a small amount of money by any stretch of imagination.
A tribunal has judged that AJS Midlands Limited and its MD, Jason King, racially discriminated against an employee and dismissed him unfairly. It awarded compensation, but 6 months down the line, AJS still hasn't come up with the money, which means they now owe £9,364. But there has been some indication the company is willing to pay.
The actual defendant company has been in touch to say that they want to try and negotiate a payment plan.
The sheriffs aren't ruling that out, but their writ requires them to seek full payment if they can. They'll only settle for less if they really have to.
It's down to me and Tommy to go there today and try and find what the situation is and get them on a payment plan or payment in full. This is Green Street.
Oh, couldn't tell.
This is it. So we're looking for AJS Midlands Limited.
Oh, AJS, yeah, that's a big place.
The sheriffs find the address, park up and head in.
Trade counter.
The entrance leads them to the customer area, where they try to get a hearing with Mr. King.
Hello, sir. Is the director of the company about at all?
Yeah, can I ask who's calling?
My name's Mr. Wild. I act on behalf of the High Court.
Okay.
The employee goes off to speak to the boss, but when he returns, it seems the urgency of the sheriff's visit has been lost in translation.
He's actually in the middle of changing the machine over at the moment, so he's not going to be available for a while.
Right, is there anyone else you can get from finance or anything like that?
Our accountant isn't in till Thursday.
Right.
Ideally, we need to speak to the director, but if he won't be available, you say?
But he's literally changing a tool on the machine, so he can't leave it, otherwise we're down production.
But production is of no concern to the sheriffs. Their claimant's already waited 6 months for his money. And if this unscheduled visit is inconvenient, the company only has itself to blame. So Craig tries again.
The issue I've got is obviously a sensitive one, but it's to do with the court order.
Okay.
And if he doesn't want to see me now and get it resolved, then unfortunately we'll have to resolve it for him, which he wouldn't want us to do. So if you want to go and reiterate that to him, if he can give the job to somebody else of changing the tool, come and have a chat with us, that's fine. Or if we can get in contact with the accountant, we can talk to her as well.
Okay.
All right.
Yep, no problem.
Thank you very much. Firm, but fair, I don't believe.
While they wait to find out if Mr. King plans to see them, the sheriffs weigh up their leverage. There aren't many assets in reception, but if these products are manufactured here, it seems likely there'll be valuable machinery out back. Once they've gleaned the little they can, Craig kills time by showing off some photos from the road.
You've got these complicated jobs. You need professional people behind you. That's Tommy when you're there. He spent a lot of time apparently in Thailand.
Back in my Bondi Beach days.
Quite the surfer, dude.
Quite the surfer.
Meanwhile, the man at reception has returned. He hasn't brought Mr. King with him, but things might be moving in the right direction.
Can you provide me with bank sort code and account number?
I can. Who's going to sort it out?
Jason.
All right, okay. So as you can see, director of the company might be making a payment.
The sheriffs had been expecting the company to try to negotiate a payment plan, and it's not yet clear how much Mr. King is planning to pay on the spot. When word comes back that he's made a bank transfer, Tommy calls the office.
Can you check the account, please?
Sure enough, a payment has been made, and it's for the whole £9,364.
Brilliant. Cheers, Lawrence. Bye-bye. Yeah, all sorted. I'll do your receipt.
Mr. King may not have made an appearance, but it seems that with the sheriffs in reception, he's decided to settle the debt in full after all, much to the sheriff's delight.
The director said I can't talk to anybody at the moment, but we explained it's to do with a court order, and I think when that information got relayed back to him, he knew exactly who we were, what we're there for, and job's a good one.
Yeah, it's a good result for the claimant and for us.
6 months after he was awarded his compensation, the worker who was the victim of racial discrimination and was unfairly dismissed has finally got the money he's owed. Lawrence and Kev are once again on the trail of a debt owed by a company called Wealden Haulage and Demolition Limited. They previously visited the company's registered address, which was on a farm.
This is the right place, isn't it?
But the director, Marcus Sage, was far from helpful. And the only real asset there wasn't going anywhere in a hurry.
That would have to go on an articulated low loader, or possibly be dragged.
Other vehicles seen at the site have now been confirmed as being on finance, and further contact with Mr. Sage hasn't come to much.
The director did contact me saying that there was an order from the court stopping enforcement, but despite repeated requests, he hasn't provided that.
So as far as we're concerned, this writ is still live.
So far, they've had the doors shut in their face at every turn, but the sheriffs don't give up easily, and now they've got a new lead. A tip-off of a site where Wealden might be operating, so they're going there in the hope of collecting the £19,000 now owing. On arrival, it appears to be some kind of aggregate processing facility. There aren't any signs mentioning the debtor company, but Lawrence spots a man working on the site and tries his luck.
Morning. All right. Looking for Wealden Haulage and Demolition?
That's us.
That's you. My name's Mr. Grix. My colleague and I are enforcement agents. We've got a High Court writ against Wealden Haulage and Demolition. We're ordered here today to take control of goods, which by the looks of it is the excavator and the crusher. Are you able to get him on the phone?
I'll try.
Thank you very much.
The man said it's the right place, and the machines they expected to see are here. So far, so good. Until Lawrence is handed the phone.
Good morning, sir. Was it you I met at the other address at your house?
It is indeed the company director, Marcus Sage.
We've been sent to this address today, sir, to take control of goods, which at the moment is the excavators and the crusher.
Once again, Lawrence is told everything is on finance.
Have you got paperwork to that effect? Are you able to get that to us? You're not.
Mr. Sage says if Lawrence wants the paperwork, he can come and get it.
Right, well, I'm not coming there, sir, because I'm here and I'm going to be taking these goods into control. I can't take them into control at your other premises, can I?
But not only is Mr. Sage refusing to bring the documents the sheriffs need to see, he's now once again claiming that enforcement action has been stopped by the courts. Lawrence is sceptical.
You told me weeks ago, sir, there was an order from the court stopping execution. I've asked you repeatedly for that, and you haven't provided it. It hasn't been stopped until you find out what's going on. I have a live writ. OK then, sir, call the police. It would be far more helpful if you have got... Oh, there you go.
Actually, it'd be a good thing if the police turn up now. That might prompt him to get down here, and that'd be better for us. And it's one of the ways we can progress this one at the moment.
Otherwise, Mr. Sach's reluctance to cooperate is once again leaving the sheriffs in a tricky position. If the machinery really doesn't belong to Wealden Haulage and Demolition Limited, then removing it would be a very expensive mistake. But it doesn't sound like the director's going to help them put the ownership beyond doubt.
The director of the company doesn't really want to speak to us. Whenever you get a job where you can't establish some kind of sensible dialogue, it's really awkward to get any kind of resolution one way or the other. If the vehicles are leased from somebody, just give us the paperwork and we can go away.
As it is, the sheriffs will have to work it out for themselves, so they head inside the yard for a closer look. But as they do, the worker present asks our camera to leave and shuts the gates behind him. Seeing the chain go on, Lawrence gives the man a warning.
I know that obviously your boss is telling you to do things, but I just have to advise you, from your point of view, it is a criminal offence to obstruct us, so I'm just advising you on a personal level, because if you do anything, I wouldn't want you doing anything that puts you personally in jeopardy because you're following your boss's instructions.
The employee goes back to work, while the sheriffs have a nose around. However, their exploration of the site reveals nothing besides the huge amounts of concrete, and no further clues to the ownership of the machines. There's a building next to the yard with another company's name over the door, so Kev heads in to ask what, if anything, they can tell the sheriffs about the crusher and the diggers. He soon returns with news.
That crusher's financed and it's owned by this lot. But he got his boss on the phone and he was like, yeah, no, it's definitely ours. And they got no reason to know.
Meanwhile, Lawrence has made a discovery of his own. One of the two diggers has broken down on top of a pile of aggregate. They began the day hoping to walk out of here with nearly £20,000, but that now looks like a tall order.
Don't know where we're going, got no way of knowing. Driving on the road to nowhere.
Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do because the one digger is immobile with a knackered engine. The crusher we've already confirmed belongs to somebody else, and the digger's in use, and we can't take something into control if it's actually in use at the time, and he's still adamant that it's leased from somebody.
More than 2 hours after they arrived, and with no sign of the police, Lawrence eventually gets a call from the debtor's solicitor, who's only just been instructed. They say they'll need a few days to collect the relevant paperwork. Frustrated, but with no leverage to demand payment, Lawrence has no choice but to agree.
If you're actually going to cooperate, which I imagine you will, and deal with this in a sensible manner, rather than just being obstructive like your client, I'll give you till close of business on Monday to get the paperwork over. And then I'm quite happy to leave it. Otherwise, I'll be back and I will remove it.
But it never comes to that. Following filming, Wealden Haulage and Demolition Limited paid the sheriffs just over £19,000, clearing their debt in full. The waste disposal company, which hadn't been paid, has now got the money they were owed. As night falls in the northeast, Sheriff Chris Pearson is on his way to enforce a debt owed by a watch seller.
The monies are outstanding for a watch which I believe was purchased online, a Rolex watch, and the goods were not received.
The claimant bought the Rolex from a business trading as Watchwise UK in Huddersfield. After the item didn't arrive, they filed a money claim against the limited company, Watchwise Associates Limited, and a man they believed to be its director, a Mr. John Barker. The case wasn't defended in court, so judgment was issued by default. And now Mr. Barker and Watchwise Associates Limited owe £5,980.
We have tried to locate a business address. Unfortunately, it's been to no end. So we're looking now primarily at his residential address, just on the off chance that maybe he may be still trading from home. There may be sufficient assets there.
Chris approaches the address, hoping that Mr. Barker will be in and the debt can be resolved.
Hello, mate. For John Barker, please.
Like for John Barker?
Yes, please, yeah.
I'm afraid he's in Blackpool, mate.
It's possible to get him on the phone for me. It's High Court enforcement. I need to speak to him quite urgently.
High Court enforcement?
Yeah, it's quite urgent, sir.
A young man has answered the door and says he'll get Mr. Barker on the phone.
I've got someone at the door here. He said it's from High Court's enforcement.
But Mr. Barker, it seems, isn't understanding the seriousness of the situation.
They said, would you be able to come back as soon as they get back?
He needs to deal with it right now, mate.
Why? Can I ask what it's about?
Yeah, it's do you know the watch business he had?
Oh.
Something to do with that,
yes,
mate.
Yeah, okay, right. Something to do with the watch business. Do you want me to give him your phone number?
Chris is indeed given Mr. Barker's number and rings it. But Mr. Barker doesn't pick up. Chris is beginning to run out of patience.
Right, they're answering. What you need to do, mate, tell them we're here with a High Court writ and it's for us to take everything out of the property. So he needs to answer the phone, mate.
However, the man instead calls Mr. Barker's son, Gary, who's apparently also involved in the watch business, and who arrives almost instantly.
Oh, yeah.
Is this a gentleman now, is it?
Yeah.
Who, Gary?
I'll speak to you if you want.
If you can, mate. Come on inside, Gary.
Gary heads inside with Chris, where he explains that Watchwise Associates Limited is going into liquidation, and also that his father, John, retired from the company more than a year ago. Gary says it was him that sold the missing Rolex watch and wants to clear the debt. He makes an offer of a payment plan, and after checking out the assets in the house, Chris leaves.
As expected, there wasn't a great deal of goods on the property, just general household items. There's two suites in there, television, PlayStation, just normal items really, nothing of any great value. And they have agreed to set an arrangement up of £300 a month to clear the debt. Now, because there's insufficient assets on the property, and I've checked the property out, I think we need to accept that for now. It's going to be set at that, and if it can be pushed on, there'll be an increased offer within a couple of months.
Following filming, the claimant rejected the offer of £300 a month, preferring the debt to be paid off quicker. So far, no money has been received from either of the Barkers, and the sheriff's plan to make a return visit. And if it says you're owed money, it's their job to go and get it.
I'm here for £6,072.18.
They can demand payment on the spot.
I'm here for the full balance.
How are you going to pay it?
Or remove assets instead.
The car will be going unless you can pay it.
You'll have a week to pay in full before it gets sold at auction.
Obstructing their work can be a criminal offence.
I wouldn't do that if I were you. The door needs to stay open.
Every year in England and Wales, unpaid debts totalling more than £80 million are recovered by the sheriffs. Coming up, a repair to Tony Grace's pride and joy wasn't up to scratch.
I felt angry that they'd not done the job properly.
But will the sheriffs be able to find enough assets to get his money back?
This is a remapping device, about £3,000 or £4,000 brand new.
A debtor's not happy to find Tommy on his doorstep.
I'm not talking to you. This is not my house. You're not coming in.
And the sheriffs face resistance on a factory floor.
Can you move?
It's a commercial property with the fourth entry if we need
with the court order. Yeah, but you ain't got to come in.
Enforcement agents Lawrence Grix and Kev McNally are on the road. They're heading to Bishop Stortford in Hertfordshire with a writ against a car garage. There is no doubt that the motoring trade is a common cause of disputes, and as a result it provides a steady stream of work for the sheriffs. Today's debtor, though, is not the normal run-of-the-mill garage, and the vehicle at the centre of the dispute is no everyday car.
We're going to see Porsche Dynamic Limited. The money they owe is £1,658, and the debt is relating to some work they did. It's actually for a gearbox gasket replacement.
The claimant in the case is heating engineer Tony Grace, a lifelong Porsche enthusiast and the proud owner of a Dolphin Grey model.
I've always had Porsches. I've always had a passion for them. I like the engine in the back and the sound of them. And they're not overstated, the Porsches. But the 966 Turbo, it's the best one out of all of them. It's such a fast car and good fun, you know. If you have a row with your missus or something, it's good to get in it and, you know, blow the cobwebs away.
But even the finest engineering isn't without its flaws. And one day, Tony discovered his beloved car had sprung a leak in its gearbox.
I noticed patches of oil on my drive, and I thought, oh, you know, that I don't want to leave it because obviously it damaged the gearbox.
So he looked around for a suitable specialist, and someone he knew recommended Porsche Dynamics Limited.
When I first saw the garage, it seemed okay. I wasn't mad on the guy. He didn't seem as knowledgeable as other people that I've used, but you can be wrong on that, so I wouldn't hold that against him, you know.
The man said the garage could fix the problem and charged Tony £700, but it didn't seem to make any difference.
I kept taking it back and forward. I don't know whether they misdiagnosed it, but every time I got it back it was leaking. So in the end I took it to a garage, I got it up on the ramp, and when I looked, they'd used a sealant on it, and it was probably about 6 inches long, and I thought, you can't do that on a car like that. And that's not really going to stop a pressured leak on the oil. You know, even I know that, and I'm not a mechanic.
Tony's final confirmation that he hadn't got the service he'd paid for came when this second garage made the repair he'd requested all along.
He changed the gasket within 5 hours, and he'd done a really good job, and touch wood, I've never had a problem with it. So obviously the other people didn't do the gasket.
And that's when Tony began to get annoyed.
Because I had to take it somewhere else and pay again, I've sort of had to pay double, and I thought, well, that's not right. You know, if I pay for something, it's cost me 700 quid, and then I've got to pay again. I felt angry that they'd not done the job properly, really.
Tony got in touch with Porsche Dynamics Limited to complain, and initially it sounded like they were keen to get the matter resolved.
He said, oh yeah, we'll give you your money back. So he didn't argue at first, but this went on for weeks and weeks. In the end, I had no alternative to sort of take it further, but I gave him plenty of warning. I didn't really want to go down that road because I would have just preferred me like 700 back and go somewhere else.
Tony took the company to court and won his case when they didn't offer a defence. They haven't paid, and now he's escalated the case to the sheriffs.
Yeah, it's been over a year now, and the sheriffs are my last resort. If they don't get nowhere, I'll just have to accept it.
Lawrence and Kev are on their way to the debtor garage, and it seems they and Tony have a lot in common. Rather than tactics, the top conversational topic is the finer points of Porsche.
I had one a few years ago now. I had it for a long time, loved it. Never had any drama with it, did everything pretty well. It was a good car, enjoyed it.
If I'd had the money, I would have had one when I was younger. I probably wouldn't now, to be honest. Getting to the time of life where I don't want to be getting down onto the level of a tea tray to get into my car.
The sheriffs arrive at the industrial estate they're looking for, and the debtor company isn't hard to spot.
There it is.
Porsche was a bit of a giveaway.
That's how I roll, like a ninja.
The sheriffs head inside in search of £1,600.
Morning. Are you the governor?
No, I'm not. No.
Oh, he's here. Morning, sir. My name's Mr. Grix. My colleague and I are enforcement agents.
Right.
We're here with a High Court writ of control against Porsche Dynamic Limited in favour of Mr. A.J. Grace.
Right.
We're ordered here today by the court to take control of goods to the value of £1,658 and 2 pence. To clear this debt, the only way to prevent further action is to pay in full.
At this point, the man asks our cameraman to leave, while the conversation continues inside.
Do you know about this?
The boss said he does, and that he'd sent the sheriffs an email. But a cheque would have been better. The sheriff's writ demands that they seek payment for Tony, and they plan to get it. But while the line of Porsches outside suggests that on the face of it, the business is doing well, it soon transpires that the situation might not be that simple.
Well, we're chatting to the owner in there. He hasn't got the money to pay it, that's the problem. The money he's actually offering to pay right now is very minimal.
The debtor says he's got plenty of work, but cash flow's a problem, and so he can only raise £400, with the remainder to be paid over a period of weeks. But to go on a payment arrangement, Lawrence wants at least half the debt cleared today, and he'd need to take control of goods on the premises as security. And that's where there's a problem. It seems Porsche Dynamics Limited has another unpaid debt, and a different enforcement agent has already called and had first dibs on everything here.
They've actually listed and got an inventory of goods they've taken down into their possession. So we've got to find other assets that they haven't taken control of.
So while the boss calls around to see if he can raise any more money, the sheriffs are on a treasure hunt for any assets that are left. Predictably, the cars are all owned by customers, so Lawrence and Kev are focusing on the garage equipment. And so far, it's hardly proving to be a goldmine.
As of now, there's only one diagnostics bit of kit that's probably worth a couple of grand. We're just seeing what else there is. Most of the stuff's on finance as well, so he's getting the finance documentation together as well. We'll get a result of sorts on this job. It just depends what it is.
The sheriffs pride themselves on being able to get money back for their clients, but in this case, it's going to be difficult. It soon becomes clear the boss can't raise any more money. The sheriffs have little option but to refuse his offer of £400 and remove anything they can find which hasn't already been bagged by the other enforcement agent. 45 minutes later, they're out the door, with goods in hand.
This is the remapping device. So you can remap the engine's ECU to give better performance, better economy. I would guess about £3,000 or £4,000 brand new. This is a snap-on bit of diagnostic kit, and it basically communicates with the car's computer system to read faults, reset faults. Brand new, this would be probably about £3,000 or £4,000, but again, at auction, you'd probably get half of that.
It may not be the crown jewels, but it should raise enough at auction to cover Porsche Dynamics' debt. That's if the man doesn't come up with the money first and within 7 days.
I think he'll potentially buy it back. He'll try and get the money together to buy it back before it gets sold, hopefully.
In fact, the boss never did make any payment at all, and his equipment has been listed for auction. The claimant, Tony Grace, should get his money back any day now, and is delighted to see the matter finally coming to an end.
Yeah, good news. Probably with the money, I'll probably end up spending it on the dog. She's got a bad foot. It's nice to have it come to an end and put it to bed and then forget about it and move on. Life's for living.
Porsche Dynamics Limited told us that after the gearbox continued to leak, they booked Mr. Grace's car in for another repair free of charge, but he cancelled the appointment. They say their director planned to defend the case, but missed the court hearing when a family member was seriously injured in an accident, and they say they are planning to appeal. Using the county courts to try to recover money you're owed isn't difficult. 1.5 million money claims are made every year in England and Wales, involving anything from faulty goods or poor workmanship to unpaid invoices. Claims can be filed by post or online for a small fee. Both parties in the case will be asked to submit evidence, and you may have to attend a court hearing. If you're successful, a county court judgment or CCJ will be issued against the debtor, and if they still don't pay, the sheriffs their client's money. But that doesn't always mean going in hard. Sometimes it pays to play the long game and take a gentler approach. In the Midlands, enforcement agents Tommy Coyle and Craig Wild are on their way to a tricky assignment.
Right, we're out early this morning, very early in fact. We're out on the outskirts of Oxford. We're going to go and made an early call today to hopefully catch a gentleman at home to home address, and it's a lot of money. It's £14,000.
The debtor is called Philip Blakeman, and he was taken to court by a friend who sold him his Land Rover for £10,000 over a year and a half ago. But after receiving the vehicle, Mr. Blakeman never paid for it. He didn't defend the case, and default judgment was made against him. The sheriffs are now here to collect £14,625, including costs and fees. The first thing they'll be looking for is that Land Rover.
If the vehicle would cover the total value of the debt, there'd be no discussion. Vehicle will be gone, or we want full payment. But in this circumstance, it wouldn't cover the full debt, but it's sufficient still to remove if there's not going to be a substantial offer on the plate.
But as they arrive at Mr. Blakeman's home, the sheriffs are dealt a blow.
There's no cars at all on the driveway.
There's nothing there, is there? Where's the Freelander?
There's no sign of the Land Rover, or, for that matter, any other vehicles.
You wouldn't live here without a car, would you?
One possibility is that he's already left the house, but there don't seem to be any tracks in the frost on the drive. It looks like the sheriffs might have lost their main bargaining chip. But either way, they need to speak to Mr. Blakeman. A light's on inside, but there's no answer at the door. Craig, meanwhile, discovers the garage is unlocked, meaning the sheriffs are legally allowed to enter.
That's it, it's open. See if the car's in.
Tommy sneaks a look for any sign of the Land Rover, but it's no joy.
It's not there.
And there's still no answer at the door.
I think we've missed him, mate. It looks dead as a dodo. It's like a toilet.
It's a bathroom light.
Bathroom light. And all it is a hallway light. I think he's gone. Because look, the car's in here either. Do you think a car's been there? I think, Craig, let's get back in the van.
There is a chance Mr. Blakeman has popped out and could return with the car. So Tommy and Craig decide to wait in the van. But just as they're getting comfortable...
Oh, there's someone in. I just see him go past that window, big guy. So he's in. He just don't want to come to the door.
It seems Mr. Blakeman was here all along.
Let's go back and knock.
This time, he answers.
Hello there, is it Mr. Blakeman?
Yeah, it's me. Yeah.
Show you some identification.
I'm not talking to you. I've already spoken to you.
You're not going to be talking to us, what was that?
It's going to be paid at the end of the month.
It's going to be paid at the end of the month?
Yeah.
If you're saying you can pay us in full at the end of the month, we can facilitate that, but we'd need to secure the debt today.
It's my house, for starters, and there's nothing in here belongs to me. I just used a room here. So
Right.
I've already told them that, so that's the end of it.
Right, well, it's not the end of it, sir, because at the moment they want us to execute this order.
Yeah, but it's not my house. You're not coming in.
Can you show me anything evidence-wise that you're going to get that money at the end of the month? If I can, obviously.
No. It's being borrowed. It will be paid at the end of the month.
Right. Well.
Mr. Blakeman isn't being very cooperative. Although he says he's going to pay, Tommy needs more than that.
We can't just take his word for that. There's a process where we can do a controlled goods agreement, but he doesn't appear interested in that, so I'll try him again.
But there's still no answer. And Tommy knows they might have their work cut out.
Our main lever here is the vehicle. That hence coming out early. As you see, no vehicle. The external assets we have in the garage are well insufficient. So if he's going to not cooperate at the moment, we're a little bit stuck.
So he keeps trying.
Mr. Blakeman, can you just come to the door for a moment so I can explain the next process, what we're going to be doing? Hello, sir. Yeah, just want to explain to you. We're going to be taking control of the goods inside the garage for now.
Right, okay.
Mr. Blakeman is finally playing ball, and Tommy and Craig begin listing any assets of his they can find to use as security against the debt. There's not much in the garage, but there is some expensive sports equipment, including top-of-the-range cricket kit.
You got 3 Kookaburra
bats,
pads,
1
aero, kit bag stroke trolley,
kit bag,
and a valuable bicycle from a well-known brand.
1 Boardman.
A racing bike, is it?
Once they've listed everything they can, they just need Mr. Blakeman's signature.
This is going to be a controlled goods agreement you're signing. It's a legally binding contract. It's going to give you till just before the Wednesday.
If Mr. Blakeman doesn't make the payment he's promised by the end of the month, they'll be back.
It's on 24
You take it easy.
Cheers. Come on in.
The sheriffs don't like to walk away without payment, but sometimes they find it's better to cut a debtor a bit of slack.
Bit of a difficult job, really, because the main lever we were going after was the vehicle. The vehicle wasn't present, so all we had to work off was trying to get in the house, and he was quite adamant, as you could see, not to let us in.
He's got 3 cricket bats in there, expensive sort of kit bags, and pads and gloves and a helmet. They are expensive, however, in comparison to the liability he owes, quite insignificant, but it does facilitate the situation for us to give him time to pay, which I think is what he wanted.
But later, has more time solved the problem? The sheriffs return to visit Mr. Blakeman once again. In the northwest, enforcement agent Alan Pennington is on his way to see an asbestos removal firm.
We're up to West Horton, just the other side of Bolton, to see a company called Malrod Environmental.
Malrod Environmental Limited have been taken to court by Heysham Demolition Limited, who say they own some equipment hired out for use on a construction site but never got it back. A judgment was awarded by default, and now Malrod Environmental Limited owes £4,521. But the case may not be as clear-cut as Alan would like. The debtor has been in touch, claiming that the case is going back to court, and in the meantime there's an order in place called a stay of execution, which puts any enforcement action on hold.
They say that they've got a stay of execution on the case. That has not been seen yet by the office or myself, so we'll be there shortly, and if they've got it, they'll need to produce it. If they haven't got it, then they'll need to pay their debt.
It's now down to Alan to find out whether Malrod's version of events is accurate. It's up to the debtor to provide the relevant court paperwork, and if they can't, then the sheriffs have every right to enforce.
Newish building, quite a big company, so I'm sure they will have no issue with the payment, but let's see if they've got a stay of execution, eh?
As Alan walks into reception,
hello,
a man immediately comes to see him who knows about the debt. So Alan gets straight to the point.
If you've got a stay of execution, I need to see it.
It's not come through yet from the court. They're setting the judgment side, aren't they?
Have they not done it yet?
No.
It seems the man has misunderstood the situation. He's applied to have the judgment against Malrod set aside, but as he hasn't yet heard from the court, there's no guarantee the application will be successful, and so currently that original judgment stands. A set-aside is different to a stay of execution, but it doesn't sound like he's got either.
That still needs paying, because enforcement action continues until we receive a stay of execution.
Yeah.
That money goes into an account for 14 days.
Yeah.
If a stay of execution comes in, it's refunded back.
Yeah. Right.
It's not what the man wanted to hear, but it doesn't look like he's going to put up a fight.
Can I have your bank details?
So what I'll do is you're going to pay by backside. So if you can do that for me,
yep.
That figure there, okay.
The man is going to pay in full. The money will be held by the sheriffs for 14 days before being passed on to the claimant, giving the company time to make a legal challenge if it wants to.
All right, thanks for your time. Ta-da. Great stuff. Thanks, love. Ta-da.
Malrod Environmental Limited's application to get the judgment set aside was not successful, and the demolition company got the money the court said they were owed. Malrod told us they don't believe they owed the debt, and say they would have paid it willingly if they did. They say they originally filed a defence against the claim, but their form was returned to them by the courts. It's another early morning start for Tommy and Craig, who are on their way to see Philip Blakeman for a second time. He owes more than £14,000 after buying a Land Rover from a friend over 18 months ago, which he never paid for. On their last meeting, he promised the sheriffs he'd clear the debt within a week, But 3 weeks later, they're yet to receive any money.
He's been in contact via text message with myself, initially saying he's going to be paying a few days later. That didn't come to fruition. There was another promise of payment, and it's not coming a week later. Hence, we're here early this morning to enforce.
So far, the decision to give Mr. Blakeman more time hasn't paid off. Today, they could remove the goods from his garage, which they've already taken into control. But they're not worth that much, and Craig is still pinning his hopes on finding the Land Rover.
We're primarily looking for this vehicle today, which has a lot more value in it.
This time, they've come even earlier, in the hope of finding it on the drive.
No, nothing there.
But once again, they're disappointed.
Can you believe it?
Without the Land Rover to use as leverage, for a second time they're going to have to rely on their powers of persuasion.
Open. Mr. Blakeman.
Good morning.
You alright? The payment didn't come in?
Yeah. Still waiting for it to clear.
Unfortunately, we're here to enforce it today.
Yeah.
You was on about your mother before, something you said.
She's given me the money. I'm just waiting for it to clear. Because she lives in Ireland,
Yeah.
I initially thought it was, it was like a check. It says 7 days into that account, but because it's from Ireland,
Shouldn't have took this long to clear.
it's up to 14 days, they say now.
Alright. So how come you didn't get in contact and tell us it's going to be 14 days? Look, it doesn't look good, does it?
But whatever the reason, Mr. Blakeman doesn't have the money. So Tommy tries a different tack and decides to reveal his knowledge of the key asset, the missing Land Rover.
You've got a vehicle registered to you.
Yeah.
Where's the vehicle?
It's not here. It doesn't work. If that worked, then it wouldn't be a problem.
Well, it's not working.
It's in Whitney. It's broken. It's the engine's knackered.
Is it?
Yeah.
So, in order to satisfy their writ, the sheriffs will have to take some of Mr. Blakeman's other goods, provided they can cover a reasonable amount of the debt. They already know the contents of the garage won't be enough, so they turn their attention to the property itself.
What about the goods inside the house as well?
That doesn't belong to me. This isn't my house. Okay.
I know you keep saying we've not seen any evidence of that so far.
Okay, but I mean...
You're cohabitor in here, Mr. Blakeman.
No,
so
I just use a room here.
If there's no payment today, you need to show us evidence of what belongs to who.
Can you come back a bit later and then I can get it for you?
You know we can't do that. I mean, obviously you signed a controlled goods agreement, and the last message I had from you that you was going to pay it, and obviously I've not heard from you since.
Right, well, it's still going to get paid.
Mr. Blakeman goes inside to get evidence from his landlady to prove it's not his house and he doesn't own any of the contents. He soon returns with a bundle of paperwork.
Scottish Power, that's fine. Santander, that's just this. Yeah, that's fine. That was the electric utility bill. Lovely.
His story seems to be checking out. If he really can't pay now and his only assets are those in the garage, it might be best to give him a bit more time.
If there are insufficient assets here, then we leave you a documentation today, which will give you 7 days to make the payments in full.
But that deal's only on the table if the sheriffs can satisfy themselves he really doesn't own anything else. On that basis, Mr. Blakeman agrees to let Tommy inside to take a look at his room. When he returns, he explains what he's seen.
She's just got a small room.
Been slept in tonight?
Been slept in.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I think it's a bit of we've done as much as we can today.
That's all we can do, innit? End of.
The sheriffs are going to have to call it quits for now.
At this stage, I do actually believe everything he's saying. I think he has no money. And he is just staying in a room here as a friend. He said to me it's still going to get paid within 7 days.
In fact, it takes nearly 3 weeks, but Mr. Blakeman did finally raise the money and paid £14,735 to clear his debt. The friend who sold him the Land Rover has finally got his money. If you've won a county court judgment and haven't been paid, for £66 you can get the case transferred up to the High Court, which will issue a writ for enforcement by the sheriffs.
My job is to collect in full or remove goods.
They've got special powers of entry.
We don't have to take any notice of your security protocol, I'm afraid.
And there's no limit on the size of the debts they can pursue.
£1.6 million.
If they're successful, they'll recover your money and costs from the debtor.
You got the cash now then?
As well as their own fees, which are set by the government.
She's paid, the judgment is settled.
Thank you very much.
If the sheriffs can't get your money, they'll ask you to pay a fee of £75 plus VAT. It's mid-morning, and Tommy and Craig are on the outskirts of Birmingham. They're looking for a man who runs a sandwich business and who owes thousands of pounds to a former worker.
We're off to go and see Mr. Trevor Johnston. He trades as TJ Sandwiches. This one's an employment tribunal case, so clearly it's a dispute between employer and employee.
The claimant says she'd worked for Mr. Johnson for 10 years before he made her redundant without notice. He also made unauthorised deductions from her wages and owes her holiday pay. Mr. Johnson didn't attend the hearing, and the tribunal ruled against him by default. He still hasn't paid and owes £4,036. As the address on the writ appears to be for some kind of industrial unit rather than Mr. Johnson's home address, the sheriffs are hopeful of finding suitable assets.
I think this is an actual where they prep and make the sandwiches. We're looking for the prep tables, an actual machinery that may make the sandwiches, and refrigerated vehicles is always a good one. Places like this, we'll be looking for them.
Hopefully we'll get the employee her money that the courts have said that she deserves.
But all this talk of sandwiches is making Tommy hungry.
Oh, I do like a good sandwich. 2 slices of granary bread, no butter, some Mexican style chicken, some green and black olives with some salsa, a bit of avocado and some crispy bacon. That's a lovely sandwich.
It's also unlikely to be on offer today, but he'll happily settle for payment instead. The sheriffs reach their destination and head in search of Mr. Johnson.
Hello? Hello? Is Mr. Johnson about?
No, he's not here.
Can he be contacted at all?
No, I haven't got his number.
Has anybody got his number? No. Who's in charge whilst he's not here?
Nobody.
So there's no one in charge and no one can contact the boss. Craig is sceptical.
Nobody's got his telephone number at all? Who would you phone in an emergency?
We just dealing with it, that's all.
You just deal with it yourselves?
Yeah.
Well, I'll explain who I am. My name's Mr. Wild, and we're High Court enforcement agents. And we're here today to execute a court order, a High Court writ of control. So we need to get in contact with Mr. Johnson as a matter of urgency.
But just then, a man emerges from the back.
Hello, sir. Are you Mr. Johnson?
Yeah.
Hello, Mr. Johnson. My name's Mr. Wild.
It seems Mr. Johnson was here all along, and he now excuses himself momentarily to switch off a machine.
Well, there you go. All of a sudden, he turns up at the back. So, he's just in there. Door's open now. Look. He's now trying to tell the staff they're in the wrong for leaving the door open, which clearly gave us peaceable access into the industrial unit. We'll put him right.
When Mr. Johnson returns, he asks our cameraman to leave. Inside, Tommy and Craig explain they're here on behalf of his former employee, and their writ empowers them to collect just over £4,000. Otherwise, they'll have to remove goods to cover the value instead. Thankfully, Mr. Johnson knows all about the debt, and the sheriffs are spared the task of working out whether any of the vehicles outside belong to him, or weighing up the auction value of a whole lot of lettuce and bread rolls. He agrees to pay, and half an hour later, Tommy and Craig are leaving, slightly surprised about how straightforward it was, considering the reception they got when they arrived.
We've gained peaceful access, met the workers who initially said that our guy wasn't there. A bit like the Scarlet Pimpernel, he appeared from the back. His wife was actually in the office at the front of the building, so explained the situation. and ultimately we got paid in full.
Normally, that would be the end of the matter. But in this case, today's enforcement is only half the story.
The debt itself was an employment tribunal case. It appears to be one of 2 employees. He's expecting another one to come through quite quickly. So Tommy explained to him if he can get that resolved before we turn up, it's going to be more financially viable for him to do that.
Following the sheriff's visit, Mr. Johnson also paid the second tribunal award, meaning that both of his former employees have now got the money the employment tribunal said they were owed. Back in the southeast, Lawrence and Kev are also looking for a businessman with a debt to pay. But this is a very different kind of business, and an unusual case for them.
We're in Epsom in Surrey today. We're going to see Kieran Midwinter trading as Epsom Rocks Tanning. So, as you probably can guess, it's a tanning salon. It's for sale of sunbed tubes. I didn't pay for them.
Mr. Midwinter has been taken to court by the supplier of the sunbed tubes. He didn't defend the case, and judgment has been made by default. He now owes £3,373. Neither Lawrence nor Kev are especially familiar with what goes on in a tanning salon.
Not really into sunbeds, to be honest. I like going away on holiday and getting a bit of tan. I know Lawrence is a fan of that as well.
Yeah, because there's quite a lot of me to get tanned, really.
I'm pretty sure I remember him telling me he's got yellow Speedos, I think it is. Is that right?
No, I haven't got any budgie smugglers.
But a holiday seems a million miles away as they slog through the Epsom traffic.
Pretty heavy. Yeah, go on. So I think parking's going to be a bit of an issue.
Lawrence does manage to bag what he thinks is a good spot, only to be disappointed.
Oh, permit holders only.
I'll stay here if you want. Just give us a shout if you need us.
Yeah, all right, mate.
Let me know if them beauty technicians give you any grief.
Well, if they jump me and pin me at the floor,
yeah,
you mean?
Sunbed assistance.
So Lawrence heads to the debtors on foot, while Kev does the decent thing and minds the van.
It's not always ideal to leave Lawrence on his own for safety reasons more than anything, but there's nothing worse than getting a parking ticket. So Lawrence will be all right in the sunbed shop on his own.
The sheriffs are banking on the tanning salon being a fairly unthreatening environment. They obviously hadn't factored in the soundtrack.
Hello? Hello, sir. I'm looking for Kieran Midwinter. Would that be yourself, sir?
It is indeed the man named on the High Court writ. Lawrence tells him he's got an unpaid debt and that he's here to collect.
That's better. Here today to take control of goods to the value of £3,373.41. The only way to prevent further action is to pay in full, sir.
Okay. What's this for, though?
Overdue invoices.
Okay.
So that's what the debt is. No, sure.
While they do, our cameraman has to step outside. Mr. Midwinter tells Lawrence he didn't know about the debt, but he doesn't dispute it and wants to pay. Only he doesn't have the money.
The gentleman didn't appear to know anything about it. He knew there was an original small debt, but he didn't realise it had gone to a debt collection company, etc., etc. He hasn't been running the salon himself for quite a while. He's only just gone back in there, so it looks like any of the posts that went there with regards to this, he didn't actually get. Whether the staff threw it away or whatever, I don't know.
Lawrence has explained to Mr. Midwinter that if he doesn't come up with the money, then he'll remove his sunbeds. And soon the pair agree to a creative solution to the problem, as a slightly bemused Kev explains from the comfort of the van.
Okay, so an update from Lawrence. The debtor, he has sold his car recently. The money for that is actually at another premises, which is about 20 miles from here. That would cover the debt that we're after.
20 miles from here, maybe, but just a few miles from the sheriff's office and their colleague Tommy.
It's a bit long-winded and round the houses, but hopefully Tommy can go and collect this money give us a call that he's collected it, and we can be off from here without removing goods.
Tommy may not be used to playing the role of Lawrence's courier, but his help will save the sheriffs hours of time and possibly get their client paid quicker. Half an hour later, his efforts have paid off, and Lawrence explains his tactics.
There was, 3 sunbeds in total, and they'd all be a bit of an effort to remove, and they wouldn't have sold for very much anyway.
And with that in mind, Lawrence is satisfied they've made the right call.
He's paid £2,810 off the debt today, and I've got a controlled goods agreement in place, and he's got to pay just under £600 in 2 weeks' time to clear the debt. So I'm quite happy with that. Thank you, Tommy.
Today, enforcement agents Tommy and Craig have been working in the Midlands, and in the middle of the afternoon, their third call of the day leads them into the city.
We're in the centre of Birmingham, more or less, today, off to a limited company called Zebra Worldwide Machinery Limited. It's run by a Simon Graham Wintermore. We believe it's in relation to a machine that he supplied.
The claimant is a customer who wasn't happy with a lathe he bought. He took the matter to court and won a judgment against the company, but he didn't receive his money. And 2 months down the line, the sheriffs are hoping to collect £5,834. But as they approach, it doesn't look promising.
It's all locked up, mate.
Don't look good, does it?
The sheriffs park up and ring the bell.
Big old place, isn't it?
It's a huge unit, but the shutters are down and there's no sight or sound of heavy machinery.
Can't hear any noise from it.
Just when they're beginning to suspect this visit is a lost cause, the door opens.
Hello, sir. Trying to get in contact with Mr. Simon Graham Wintermore. My name's Mr. Wild. I'm from the High Court Enforcement Agents.
I'll go and see you upstairs.
Okay, so I need to leave the door open.
No.
Yes, I have to. No, sir.
Can you move?
It's a commercial property with a forced entry if we need
to. With a court order.
Yeah, but you ain't got to come in.
Yeah, we've got a court order to come in.
We've got a court order to come in. You Mr. Wintermore?
No, I'm going to get him.
Well,
I'll wait here.
The door needs to stay open. We need to speak to him. Otherwise, we'll have to force entry and have the police.
You walk all around here?
No, we won't, sir.
We'll stay here until he comes down.
That's fine.
The last thing the sheriffs want is to get locked out. Although they could legally force entry if they needed to, it's a situation they'd rather avoid.
We weren't going to let the door be shut on us. We'll be polite to these people as much as we can. But we are here with the authority of the courts to do our job.
For now, they're happy to wait at the entrance, where they've got a decent view of the assets.
That's what they're live, aren't they?
They're pillar drills.
Yeah.
That looks like a guillotine cutter. That's a scrubber. Floor polisher thing.
The machines might be a challenge to remove, but they definitely have value. Meanwhile, a man emerges from the office upstairs.
Is this it? Is that the same guy?
No, it's a different guy.
Hello, sir.
Hello, sir. Mr. Wintermore.
Hold on, what's the camera for?
It is indeed the company boss, but on spotting our camera, he's less than pleased. We're asked to leave, and it's left to Tommy and Craig inside to explain that it's time for Zebra to pay its debts. The answer isn't exactly what they expected. The boss says he's already paid and produces proof of a recent bank transfer. On closer inspection, it appears he's made a payment direct to the claimant's solicitor, but it's only for the amount owed before the case was transferred to the High Court.
The director is not happy at all because he's seen the payment that he made, thought was going to resolve the case. Obviously, court action's been taken and that's why we're here today. And he needs to deal with us, but he's not happy at all.
Because he didn't pay to begin with, Mr. Wintermore now owes another £868. He's not happy. Nevertheless, he reaches for his credit card, and the sheriffs are soon on their way. Satisfied, they've carried out the court's wishes.
Got a bit fruity on the door with one of the employees, but managed to put the foot in the door, secure the access. The director produced evidence that he paid direct to the claimant's legal representation, just under £5,000. So we've checked that out. That's come off the bill, leaving a short balance outstanding, of which we've just collected in full.
It didn't come to listing down the company's goods, but aside from the valuable machines they first saw, there was one asset inside that made quite an impression.
Oh yeah, zebra head mounted in his office.
Huge.
More impressive.
But for now, the boss's machines and taxidermy are safe. The sheriffs are leaving with payment in full, and the claimant has got their money back. Mr. Wintermore told us he did offer the claimant who bought the lathe an alternative machine.